management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you are interested in growing in business and life, and you're open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a door grower. Door grower property managers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management business owners and their businesses. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. We're your hosts, property management growth experts, Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow, and Sarah Hull, the co-owner and COO of DoorGrow. Now let's get into the show. All right, and our guest today is Nick Friedman. Did I say your name right?
You got it.
Right, cool. And Nick has two different businesses. And why don't you introduce the two businesses, and then I'd love to get into your background of how you got into entrepreneurship. So.
Absolutely. So two businesses that are relevant to property management. One is a doorstep amenity for apartment complexes called Trash Butler. It helps increase revenue and net operating income for the communities while also providing an amenity for the residents. And that kind of incubated out of our first company that we launched, which is a company called College Hunks Hauling, Junk, and Moving. I'm a little more widely known for that business that I started back in college. It's a moving and bulk removal service that now has over 300 franchises across the U.S. So wow. It's been a fun journey and a very entrepreneurial journey, to say the least.
Awesome. So, Nick, when did you first realize you were an entrepreneur, that you were a little bit weird?
I would have to say, in retrospect, it was all the way into my early days of childhood. My sister had a lemonade stand in front of our house. She wanted to charge 25 cents for lemonade. I went out and started a competing lemonade next to hers, and I wanted to charge $1 for my lemonade because I thought my lemonade was better. And I think we probably sold the same amount of cups, but I made 4 times the amount of money than she did because I was charging $1 than she was charging 25 cents. So yeah. In hindsight, I think I would always do some out of the box things. My teachers would call me a little bit restless. But really our business innovation took place when we were in college because we had always been brought up and told to follow the more traditional career path, work hard in school, get good grades, get a job after you graduate, sort of climb up that ladder. And the summer before my senior year of college, my buddy's mom had a beat up cargo van from her furniture store. And she said, why don't you guys go do something with the van? You guys could move furniture, haul trash. You guys could be like college hunks who haul junk. And we just started laughing about it, decided to put that on flyers, and the phone started ringing. So we were in business and realized that the name was catchy. People appreciated quality service. And that was the light bulb moment for us to pursue a career of entrepreneurship and not the traditional path.
There you go. So thank goodness for that truck, right?
That's right.
Changed your life.
Totally changed her life. We credit her with the
name. Yeah, competing with the sister. Yeah. So, yeah, I think for me, it was my entrepreneurial mom who was a real estate agent. You know, she was always hustling, trying to figure out how to make money, and she would have us fold flyers for her and canvas neighborhoods. So.
Well, and that's really kind of when we realized the niche for us is very much so within property management, right? Because, a homeowner or a business might move every couple of years, might have junk to be removed every so often, but property managers are sort of that frontline resource for all things community, whether that's residents who are moving in and out, whether that's bulk trash that's being left behind and needs to get turned around for the next move in. And then that ultimately, as I mentioned, incubated our Trash Butler business, which is more of a recurring revenue model, but it produces income for the apartment complexes that we partner with. So it was an evolution for us. I always tell the story, when we first started, we were doing all the work ourselves. So we went out and we bought an 800 number and we slapped it on the back of our truck, trying to make ourselves look bigger, but it was still routed to our cell phone. And so people would call to complain about erratic driving, and we'd be in the driver's seat answering the phone, pretending like we weren't, saying, oh yeah, we'll fire those guys, when they get back on the road.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
We
guys.
don't condone that driving in our company, so we've probably fired ourselves at least 3 or 4 times. And I'm
Yeah.
sure, your property manager listeners can relate to that. When they first started their business, you're doing all the work yourself. You're fixing the doorknobs, you're changing out the light bulbs and everything in between. And one of our mentors recommended to us that we read a book called The E-Myth Revisited. It's by a guy named Michael Gerber. And in
Yeah.
it, he really emphasizes the notion of working on your business, not just in your business, creating systems and processes for the business to scale, which is obviously what you're doing for folks. And so I think, that was the next light bulb moment for us, is if we're ever going to have another truck, let alone another location, let alone eventually a second business, we've got to start documenting how we do everything.
Yeah. And is that what kind of helped it take off? Is getting
Yeah, I mean,
all that documented?
I describe ourselves as a 20-year overnight success because it
Yeah.
feels like it took that long for us to get to where we are. It really did. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners and leaders have a level of impatience, which is good. But I always preach to our team, we've got to have urgency of effort, patience for the results. Because if
Mm.
we get up every day, grind it out, and then we look a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, based on that consistent grind, we're going to see long-term results start to manifest. And so that's, none of it happened overnight, but it was a process, and it was putting systems in place, aligning ourselves with great people, and just being committed to our purpose and our vision.
Yeah, I love it. I think I love that urgency of effort, patience for the result. I think as entrepreneurs, nothing's ever fast enough for us.
No, and that's a good and a bad thing as a business leader and an entrepreneur is, if we weren't optimistic, we would never start the business in the first place because we
Right.
believe that the business is going to be successful.
Yeah.
We may minimize how hard it's going to be. We may minimize some of the challenges that we're going to encounter along the way. And that sort of maybe, cognitive dissonance or whatever you want to call it, getting into business, I think is a good thing. But you then have to have the grit and the resilience and sort of the sophistication to muscle through the challenging times. But I don't think I've ever met an entrepreneur that says, I made more money faster than I expected to. It's usually, it took longer. I didn't make as much as I had hoped for when I first started out. And, when reality sinks in, some people give up and go back to their corporate grind, and other people just stick it out and keep pushing forward.
Well, yeah, I call that the fantasy stage of entrepreneurship. That's the beginning. We
Yeah.
we only see upside. It's all upside. It's going to be a success. I get property managers coming to me. Well, potential property managers are like, "I'm going to start a property management business." I'm like, "Oh yeah, how are you going to do this?" And they're like, "It's going to be amazing because all the other companies in my market suck." I'm like, "Okay, what are you going to do different?" "We're going to charge less and we're going to provide better service." I'm like, "Okay, good luck with that." So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's tough. That's a tough recipe. I mean, look, I have come to realize, because we're in a blue collar industry ourselves, moving furniture and picking up trash at residents' doorsteps. And so, execution is a differentiator if you can out execute everybody else. It's not easy. It's not the flashy, shiny objects that entrepreneurs like to chase. But coming through this past year, obviously the market has shifted. Its leads aren't falling from the sky like they used to. We've had to assess, like, are we doing everything that we're supposed to with every client touch point? Are we consistently delivering the service that we preach in all of our markets, across all the apartment communities that we service? And that, I think, is something that takes reinforcement and repetition. And sometimes it can be a little bit boring, but it matters because that does make a difference. I wouldn't charge less than everybody, at least not. That's not a sustainable business strategy. But if you can consistently out execute everybody else, that is an advantage.
Yeah, if you can out execute everybody else, then you can probably outprice everybody else too. So, because
That
the
would be
leader gets to dictate the price, I
That's
think.
right. And usually it's going to cost us more to be able to out execute everybody else, unless you've got just, these magic employees that are willing to take less money to provide a better experience for the customer so that
Yeah.
you can charge less. It becomes a difficult equation.
Yeah, it's not too difficult to close the deal when somebody comes to you and says, "I want the other company's price, but I want your level of service."
That's right. That's right. And that is hard to explain in the sales process if they don't have the relationship or don't have the trust built. That takes time.
Cool. So, explain how Trash Butler works for people that have multifamily communities.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it kind of incubated out of our college hunks business. We recognized this opportunity in the apartment space, particularly in multifamily communities where there's a long walk for the resident to take the trash out. If you think about the garden style apartments, even mid-rise or wraps where there's a long walk to the trash room or trash chute. And so this industry has emerged, doorstep trash service, where we sign a contract with the apartment complex, and then 5 nights a week, the resident can simply put the trash in front of their door and recyclables in some markets. And then our butler will come by and take the trash and the recyclables to the on-site compactor, which is provided by the third-party hauler. So it saves the resident a trip to the dumpster or the compactor each night or every other night. There's a safety component for the residents. It's an amenity component for the communities that are looking to try to enhance their quality of life for the residents. And then it actually becomes an income producer for the apartment complex. I know that there's some skepticism about upcharging services in the industry right now. We're staying very close to that legislation. But let's say we charge $10 a month per door to the apartment community. They have the ability to charge anywhere from 20 to, in some cases, $30, $40 a month per door to the resident. So it becomes an NOI producer, net operating income producer for the community. And it's an amenity for the resident, many times an expected amenity for the resident. So currently we're the second largest provider in that industry. We service about 300,000 doors nightly. We're the national partner with Greystar, of course, the big 800-pound gorilla of property management. And so, what started out as sort of a side venture has all of a sudden, blossomed into a meaningful business that we've actually brought in some private equity money to help sustain that growth.
Yeah, brilliant. So, yeah, I lived at a complex for a while and I had to walk forever to go drop my trash off. I hated it. It was super annoying. So I had to have some sort of stupid cart or something just to carry all
Yeah.
my trash and
I used to live in an apartment complex that did not have this service, and I would put the trash either on the hood of my car or in my trunk at times to drive it to the compactor. And one day I actually forgot that I put it in my trunk. And so I passed by the compactor, and this was a hot day in Florida in the summertime. So of course, when I came back to my car at the end of a long workday and realized that I had failed to take the trash bag out of the trunk, it was not. It was a direct trip to the trash compactor and then the car detailership.
oh, yeah.
Oh, no. And then this is a service that the tenants pay for. Yes?
It is. So we contract directly with the community, but the tenants pay for it through their lease. So what we do when we sign up a community is we have a what we call phase-in pricing, where it steps up over the first year of the service. And so the community is never out of pocket. It's never a cost to the community. The residents are either just paying a pass-through or even an upcharge to the community so that it becomes a profit center for the community. So yes, it does become an ancillary income stream for the apartment complexes. The resident is paying for it. It's part of their lease. It's not something that's sort of opt-in, opt-out. But if they haven't had it before, it'll wait till the lease renews for it to be added in. And so we're not charging full rate during the first year. We're sort of stepping it up during month 1, month 2, month 3 in order to ensure that the residents are all paying for it by the time we're fully phased.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
And
that's sharp.
then is this nationwide? If someone were like, hey, I think that's a great idea, can I
It
get
is, yeah. So we're in about 30 states right now. Usually when you have a national partnership with a company like Greystar, they point to that direction and we run in that direction. So we opened up in the Northeast, we opened up in California. Our biggest presence is in the Southeast, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Carolinas. We've got a pretty big presence in Arizona. I know that's where you guys are. So we're all over. We got boots on the ground. That business is not franchised. Our College Hunks business is a franchise model that we have independent operators, but our Trash Butler business is all corporately operated. So we have managers and sort of area supervisors in each market that we service.
Oh, very cool.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. And is there a lot of competition for Trash Butler?
Trash Butler and College Hunks has a lot of competition. What I always like to say, there's low barriers to entry, but high barriers to scale. So there's probably a lot of similarities with the property management business as well, right? Any mom and pop can go out, hang a sign out or get a truck and say, I'm in business. But when it comes, and you can do that with 1 or 2 communities or maybe 1 market. But when it comes to scaling out that infrastructure and providing a consistent level of service nationwide, there's only a small handful that have done it. And that's because it costs a lot of money to get to that scale. You've got to have software, you've got to have great people in every market, you've got to have accountabilities in every market. And so that's been good and bad. I mean, there's always the people that will come in and try to undercut what we're charging or what their competitors are charging, but they can do that on a one-off community or two communities. But at some point, their systems are going to break because they're doing all the work themselves, like we did when we first started.
Yeah. And I'm sure occasionally you see the cheap, dumb property manager that wants to like, oh, well, I'll just do this myself. And I'll just make my team members, I'll make my gal at the front office desk go haul garbage or something.
And we all know that employee retention is one of the hardest things right now to keeping good people. And you want your good people doing high value activities. At the property management level, you don't want your good people picking up trash from 100, 200, 300 units every single night. That's a surefire way to lose your good people. So, we think of us as sort of an outsourced arm of property management. We pride ourselves on kind of being an extra set of eyes and ears because we're walking the communities in the night walks and when we're doing our patrols. So we're able to report back if we see a safety hazard or we see anything, suspicious activity, we can report that back in our reporting tools. And so it becomes an extension for property management, not a cost center. And that's, I think, the most important piece. And there's redundancy. We've got backup butlers if a butler misses because he's sick or, has a wedding or something, I don't know. And so we send people in their place, and that redundancy is important because, the residents will let you hear it if the trash gets missed. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And they're paying for it, so they expect it to get picked up every night that they put it out there.
Yeah, if trash day gets missed, there's going to be some pretty unhappy people.
That's right.
It's just sitting on their porch for a week. Do I bring this back inside? Where do I have to walk it over myself? So how small of a complex do you guys take on? Like what are your sort of limits here?
To be honest with you, the sweet spot for a trash butler is really 100 units and greater. So I know there's a lot of property managers that manage smaller facilities or single family properties. Usually communities like that, it's smaller communities, it's more difficult to create a scalable model for the nightly doorstep trash pickup service. But we do see a lot of partnerships with our college hunks business and the single family rentals, the smaller apartment complexes where there's tenant leave behinds or they want to have a move-in special. So they'll contract with our college hunks location in their market to move the resident in or move the resident out, because the move in and the move out are two very critical touch points of the overall living experience as it relates to a community. And so I think the property manager may, in some cases, undervalue the importance of that high touch experience, especially on the move in. When they're moving out, unless they're moving to another one of your properties, have a great day. Sorry to see you go. But when they're moving in, you really want to make that a special, memorable, positive experience so that then it reinforces the positive experience they have while living there.
Now, normally trash pickup by the garbage companies is weekly, but you mentioned nightly that you're doing this.
Right. So we're doing the butler service nightly. We're not taking the trash off property. We're taking it from the doorstep of each resident to the on-site compactor. So if you think about it, the compactor pickups are still going to be weekly, but the trash can be picked up from the resident's doorstep on a nightly basis, typically 5 nights a week. This kind of industry standard is Sunday to Thursday night. And so that's where this becomes a very attractive amenity, because if your trash fills up, you got to take it out, and you don't want to wait till trash day or whatever. You can put it out 5 nights a week, and the butler's going to take it to the on-site compactor.
Nice. Yeah, that makes it really convenient. Okay, got it. Cool. So, what do property managers typically ask about this service that I haven't asked yet?
So what we like to do is we boil it down to three very simple things. What's most important in this service, the doorstep amenity, is the trash going to be picked up on time? Is it going to be consistent? And is it going to be clean? In other words, is the trash butler not going to leave a mess or loose trash and all those sorts of things? And so we actually have what we call our 3X guarantee of trash butler, where we guarantee that those three things are going to be 100% consistent. If not, we're going to make it right financially by reimbursing for the night or in some cases the week. And so I think that's really important. another question that we actually make sure we emphasize is that there are some companies that do this, that will use independent contractors, and we recommend steering away from that because there's a level of liability and also accountability that's missing if you've got independent contractors picking up the trash 5 nights a week on your community. And so having a W-2 uniformed background check butler that's walking the hallways, walking the breezeways, picking up the items is really critical as well. So those are usually the most consistent questions. I think, not all property managers really know how to charge the residents back for the service. So we try to pride ourselves on being, revenue consultants and sustainability consultants as well, not just the doorstep vendor for picking up the trash. And so I think, creating that partnership with any of the vendors is really critical, for your listeners, not just our category, but anybody who they're working with, is having that trusting go-to relationship that they can, rely on. It's not just an invoice. It's not just a contract, but there's actually a relationship there to ensure that, stuff is getting done when it needs to get done. And again, that goes with maintenance, that goes with roofing, that goes with insurance, which I know is a huge issue, with properties these days. And so, I think that we want to be a piece of that overall equation.
Yeah. One bad independent contractor story could probably destroy a property management company. I mean, it certainly could destroy a relationship with one particular, multifamily complex, or with that particular owner, but it could destroy a business if it were serious enough. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
so related to that, how do you vet your butlers?
So, we prided ourselves both in our college hunks hauling junk business and our trash butler business on really being a culture first, team member driven organization. And what I mean by that is we want to get great people. It's a blue collar industry, but we want to get people that have pride of ownership of the work that they're doing. So it starts with the recruiting, our job posting, our recruiting machine, our interview process, our background checks, our reference checks, and then our onboarding. Our onboarding and retention is all about what we say enrolling our team members in either the trash butler way or the college hunks way of doing business. And so I think it's important anytime you're hiring employees that you've got a system and a process for identifying who are the type of people you want to bring into the organization, because that's going to help define the culture. And we always say culture drives behavior, behavior drives results. And so if you're just picking up anybody off the street to fill a hole, you might get somebody good, but chances are they're not going to be aligned with the core values of the company, the purpose of the company. And so we've sort of viewed ourselves as our secret sauce as being able to recruit a widespread labor team, decentralized across the country, train them, onboard them, and retain them to go out and provide a good service on a consistent basis. And so I think, again, relevant to your listeners and their businesses as they think about who they're hiring or teams that they're developing, having a set of core values that you abide by, having a long-term vision of what you're trying to become as an organization, what you want to be recognized for as an organization, and then work to the present. The action items that you're going to take to ensure that those values are upheld and that the vision is becoming a reality.
Yeah, that's so in alignment with the stuff that we teach. You mentioned culture, behavior, results, and when we focus on helping clients figure out their hiring systems, we focus on what I call the 3 fits, which is culture first, personality fit, which relates to behavior, and then skill. And skill's the only one that you really can move the needle hugely on. Usually it's about finding people that match your culture, that share your values, and then finding somebody that is the right personality fit to succeed in the role. And then you can train them. But most business owners do the opposite. They're like, let's just find somebody with the skill.
Somebody who knows how to do it. Yeah. And you're 100% right. I mean, there's a mantra, I'm sure you've said it probably, is you hire for attitude, you train for skill. And if you can hold true to that. Now, look, obviously they have to be capable and competent of learning the skill. If you're providing them the tools to do the work and they still can't do it, then there's a competency gap there that's missing. And so you have to have what we like to say results-based, performance-based objectives. But you also have to have good people who align with your values, because if you've got somebody who's not good at the job, but a really good person, ideally you could train them or find a seat for them to fill. If they're a bad person but good at their job, then you feel kind of handcuffed, and it becomes sort of this poison
Mm,
seed in an apple pie that ends up making the whole thing rotten. And so you
yeah.
want a team that can perform on the field, but you got to have a good dynamic locker room. You can't have somebody in there that's upsetting the team dynamics. And that's
Mhm.
where leadership comes in. That's where the leader of the organization has to champion the values, has to champion the vision, has to champion the culture, has to hold people accountable, especially their fellow leaders, about what are the behaviors that we value in our organization, that matter to us.
Mm, yeah, love it. Well, it's got to be a pretty daunting task to run a large empire, especially in a blue collar industry of people, to make sure you've got good leadership, managing good people, and a good hiring process.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it was a 20-year overnight success for us, and it never gets easier. Maybe uh, new level, kind of different devil, but it's a lot of fun growing a business and sort of embracing those challenges along the way. But you hit it on the head. Having the right leadership team to help support the founder, the entrepreneur in the journey. And another thing that I think your listeners probably can relate to is, along the way as their business grows, is sometimes you're going to outgrow your leadership team, which we've gone
Mhm.
through multiple layers of that, and it's not easy, because somebody who helped you get from 0 to 20 properties may not be able to take you from 20 to 100 properties, or somebody who took in our business that took us from 0 to 50 franchises, or what have you. And there's a lot of parallels between our trash butler business and property management, and so I'm sure we're facing the same sort of things. And
Mm,
making sure that you've got folks that that's probably the hardest part, is when they fit the culture, but the business starts to outgrow them. And so that's why I
yeah.
think leadership development is very critical, and also identifying the skill sets to make sure they're built for the long term.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's said that the number one indicator of success is actually intelligence, and if somebody has enough intelligence, they can rise to different levels of competency and improve. For example, like somebody might have a good executive assistant, and maybe someday they're COO. But there's definitely the assistants. I've had some assistants in the past that were not capable of that; they just weren't, right? And then I've had some that were able to rise to different levels of management. And I think being able to, I think it's a knack or a talent to be able to identify that light, because you can't just give people intelligent tests.
Right. Although they do have some different tests out there now. There's the Wonderlic, which I think is what the NFL uses. We use
We've used
predictive
that.
index. We use predictive index, which has a cognitive test, and then
Yeah.
also kind of a personality profile
Yeah.
matching. It's not an exact science, but it
Yeah.
definitely provides another data point. Because hiring is probably the toughest thing. I mean, even the sports teams get it
Mm.
wrong half the
Yeah.
time. They can actually see the person playing on the field, and they
Yeah.
know from the other coaches what type of person that individual is, and yet they still draft the wrong player, or sign the wrong
Yeah.
wrong position. And so we got to give ourselves a little bit of a break too, because our managers and our franchise owners who view the leadership role as a blessing rather than a burden, I think, are the ones that are going to see the most success, because they embrace the challenges of turnover. They embrace the
Mm.
challenges of teaching their team members, or empowering their team members to tackle new obstacles. They embrace the fact that maybe certain individuals on their team might have to be layered underneath the next layer of leadership. And so I think that's something that we got to keep reminding ourselves also as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, yeah. We partnered here at Dorgo for Dorgo Hiring with an AI assessment company before AI was big, and it's pretty spot on and amazing at identifying people that are the right culture, personality, and intelligence level for the
Wow.
role. And I used to use Myers Briggs, Human Design, Wonderlic. Um,
Yes.
Disc, like I used to, and I would get a pretty decent picture of a person incorporating all these things, but I had to know all these different systems. And I could hire with pretty good accuracy. And so we started testing against this AI tool, and it got the right candidate every time,
Wow.
and it was pretty obvious in the tool. So we now use it with clients, and it does a really good job. So it's pretty awesome.
Very
So
cool.
that's how I got my current assistant, Mar, who's awesome, and I think all of our last several team members. So yeah, it's
Very cool.
pretty
Are you able
cool.
to share the AI tool, or is that proprietary to you guys now?
So we've partnered with a company called Brick, BRYQ,
Very cool.
and yeah, it's super cool. So it's
I have to check
usually
that out.
not affordable for the small business owner.
Got it. So you guys
So
have kind of like an enterprise platform for, because you do recruiting as well.
yeah, we help property managers with the hiring and recruiting piece. I mean, because if you get that wrong, that's a $10,000 minimum mistake,
Minimum.
typically,
Yep.
minimum. And plus the opportunity cost of the money that you're just not going to get because they didn't do as good of a job. So that's a brutal. And most business owners just, and I've seen it at the multi-million dollar level. Most business owners just doing Russian roulette in hiring until they finally get a good team after a decade.
Yeah. I've been
And
guilty of that myself. So
brutal. Me too. Yeah, we're the summation of our mistakes, in when it comes to success. So, well, super cool to have you here on the show. Is there anything? What should property managers know about the college hunks hauling junk? How
yeah,
could that benefit them?
yeah. So, a lot of people don't realize that our college hunks business is nationwide. We're in about, as I mentioned, we have almost 300 franchise owners in that business. We're in about 40 states. And so that business is local moving as well as what we call bulk trash removal. So it's not just homeowners that we're moving. It's not college campuses that we're moving, but we're moving anybody that's moving from point A to point B, whether that's a business, an apartment resident, a homeowner, and everything in between. And we also do junk removal or bulk trash removal. So we're really the only one-stop solution that can do both the move and the bulk removal as one brand, one company. And I think it's important for apartments and multifamily in general because you want to know that the individuals and the companies that are coming onto your property are insured, have a reputable, accountable brand behind them. And so we started to see a lot of traction with apartment partnerships where we become sort of this preferred mover for them to recommend to the residents in the moving leasing packets, so they know that the trucks are going to be branded, the property is going to be protected, the elevators or stairways are going to be wrapped so they're not damaged, the individuals are going to be properly insured so there's no injury, no injuries, properly trained. We're not going to be blocking resident cars with the moving van, which makes everybody upset. So we've got a whole national platform and local platform for partnering with property managers to be their go-to solution for moving the residents in and out, as well as the tenant leave behinds, the bulk trash removal, clearing out, for the turns. And so, whether that's, carpet removal or just furniture removal, we have a partnership with Goodwill where we can donate anything that's reusable. So I think that's something that maybe a lot of property managers don't realize is our college hunks hauling junk and moving business is a great resource for property management in general.
That's awesome. That was one of the things that was so frustrating is just waiting on the junk removal. Like, it's finally vacant. Go, go, go. And sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm a week out.
Yeah, and we can do same day, next day. And look, there's going to be a wide range of prices on junk removal. I know that there's
Hmm.
budget consciousness and property management. I get that, but any Chuck with a truck can come and claim to do junk removal, but he might not answer the phone the next time you call him, or he might, be a week out, or he might say he's coming and not come. Like, we've got a national call center, a national booking platform, a national accounts program, so we've got responsiveness. And that's something else, again, for your listeners, like 9 out of 10 service companies don't even answer the phone. And so it's like something as simple as just making sure the phone gets answered when people call. So, if you've got a property management company, making sure your phone, you have somebody, even if it's an outsourced third party, answers the phone when your residents call, or answers the ticket when, the client calls. That goes a long way. It's simple and often overlooked, but it gets back to what we talked about earlier about just being, able to out execute what other people aren't doing.
Yeah, that's the foundation of decent customer service is accuracy and availability,
That's
according to
great.
the Gallup polls customer satisfaction pyramid that they had in one of their books. And if you're not accurate and you're not available, then you're just if you're perfectly accurate and perfectly available, they don't notice you. Like, that's just default. They just assume that should be done, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's a
and then
table.
after that, it's partnership and then advice. And so when you get to that level where you're giving advice, like you had mentioned, like helping them with their fees and helping them figure out how to make money off of this and get the NOI, that's where you're at an exceptional level, is when you get to that peak of partnership and then advice. So, well, Nick, this has been really cool. Appreciate you coming here on the show. How can people get connected to College Hunks Hauling Junk and Trash Butler?
So the best way for Trash Butler, really simple, trashbutler.com. And for our College Hunks hauling junk and moving business, really simple, collegehunks.com. So trashbutler.com, collegehunks.com. That's for the doorstep trash and recycling amenity, as well as the moving and junk removal partnership opportunity. And look, I appreciate you having me on. I think it's awesome what you're doing to help, empower and, motivate and inspire and elevate the property management industry, because it's a great industry and it's one that is ripe for people to continue to elevate and improve upon.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you being here on the Door Grow Show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
All right. So if you're a property management business owner and you're wanting to grow and scale your business, reach out to us. You can check us out at doorgrow.com or go to join our community and hang out with a bunch of property management entrepreneurs and find out if we're legit and see what everybody else is doing. Go to doorgrowclub.com and join our Facebook group. And we hope to see you in there soon. Bye, everyone.